Meet Alassane Ouattara, the economist who became president. Alassane Ouattara. Born on January 1, 1942, this man is an economist by training. He even worked for the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, where he gained significant experience in economic policy and international finance. His first major political role in Ivory Coast was as prime minister in the early 1990s. He served under President Félix Houphouët-Boigny, the nation's founding father. This period gave him his first real taste of high-level governance within the country. Many saw him as a technocrat, someone who could bring economic expertise to the forefront of national policy. The path to the presidency, however, wasn't exactly a walk in the park. It was filled with numerous challenges and obstacles. He officially became president of Côte d'Ivoire in May 2011. But this only happened after a really messy and disputed presidential election in 2010. The incumbent at the time, Laurent Gbagbo, refused to concede defeat. This led to a serious political standoff, a crisis that, unfortunately, turned violent. That 2010 to 2011 post-election crisis was a defining moment. It resulted in armed conflict and tragically, thousands of people lost their lives. Ouattara's eventual inauguration came after international intervention and Gbagbo's arrest. So his presidency began under a cloud of recent conflict, with the huge task of healing a fractured nation and rebuilding trust. He had to steer the ship through some very stormy waters right from the get-go. A challenge for any leader, let alone one taking office under such circumstances. His journey from an economist to the highest office in the land is a testament to his resilience and dedication to his country. Once in power, President Ouattara focused on stabilizing the economy. Ivory Coast saw some rapid economic growth during his tenure. Infrastructure projects got underway. He was re-elected for a second term in 2015. He won that election with a pretty convincing 84% of the vote, according to official results. But then things started to get a bit more complicated. In 2016, Ouattara initiated a new constitution. This new constitution brought in some changes, like creating a vice presidential post and a senate. Critics argue that this new constitution controversially reset the clock on his presidential term limits. Normally, a president gets 2 terms. But with a new constitution, some argued his first terms didn't count under the new rules. This term limit issue really came to a head for the October 2020 election. Ouattara decided to run for a 3rd term. The opposition cried foul. They said it was unconstitutional. This disagreement led to widespread protests and, sadly, more violence. The political atmosphere became incredibly tense once again. Fast forward to May 2025. The political air in Ivory Coast is thick with anticipation for the upcoming October elections. And then boom, social media explodes. Rumors start flying everywhere. Ouattara has resigned. There's a coup d'etat happening in Abidjan. Videos started circulating, some showing crowds, others depicting burning buildings. People were understandably on edge given the country's history. Despite the title of this piece, which reflects the frenzy of those moments, President Alassane Ouattara did not actually resign. Let me say that again, he did not resign. As of today, May 26, 2025, he is still the president of Ivory Coast. The stories of a military takeover, of him stepping down under pressure from some new unnamed military leader, those were part of the storm of misinformation that swept through the internet. It was a classic case of fake news causing real anxiety. The intensity of these rumors highlights just how tense the political situation is. Faced with this digital onslaught of alarming claims, the Ivorian government had to act. The National Agency for Information Systems Security, or ANSSI, stepped up. On a Thursday just before May 25th, they officially denied the coup rumors. They called it a deliberate and coordinated disinformation campaign. To further counter the claims that President Ouattara was missing, or had fled, he made public appearances. He was seen chairing a routine cabinet meeting. He also attended a public ceremony. These appearances took on added significance. They were a visual rebuttal to the fake news. Government authorities and security forces also reported that there was no actual violence in Abidjan. Despite some of the dramatic videos circulating, the government's quick and firm denial, coupled with Ouattara's public visibility, was crucial in quelling the immediate panic. However, the incident laid bare the challenges of combating misinformation in a politically charged environment. Section 5. The countdown begins. Tension mounts for the 2025 election. The general elections are scheduled for October 25, 2025. And let me tell you, this isn't just another election. It's a focal point of massive political tension in Ivory Coast. The country has a painful memory of election-related violence, especially the 2010 to 2011 crisis that saw thousands die. A major source of the current tension is the question of President Ouattara's potential candidacy. He's 83 years old. His current 3rd term is already controversial, as we discussed. Now his party, the Rally of Houphouetists for Democracy and Peace, or RHDP, nominated him back in December 2023 for a potential 4th term. He hasn't officially declared he's running yet. But in May 2025, he did say he is eager to continue serving my country. The idea of Ouattara running for a 4th term is, to put it mildly, divisive. His supporters would argue he brings stability and economic progress. But critics, and there are many, see it as a power grab. Section 6. A challenger emerges. Tidjane Thiam's political fight. One of the most prominent opposition figures currently in the spotlight is Tidjane Thiam. He's a well-known name not just in Ivory Coast but internationally. He's a respected politician and businessman, and he was the former CEO of Credit Suisse. Thiam became the leader of a major opposition party, the Democratic Party of Ivory Coast, or PDCI, in December 2023. Many saw him as a strong potential challenger to Ouattara. However, Thiam's path to the ballot box hit a major roadblock. On April 22, 2025, a court ruled that he was ineligible to run for president. The reason? Issues concerning his nationality. Presidential candidates in Ivory Coast cannot hold dual citizenship. Thiam had acquired French nationality back in 1987. He did renounce his French passport in March 2025, trying to meet the eligibility requirements. But the court said that because he wasn't solely Ivorian when he registered on the electoral roll in 2022, he was out. Thiam and his party are appealing the ruling. They argue that the decision is politically motivated. Section 7. Old guards and new aspirations, other faces in the opposition. Tidjane Thiam isn't the only opposition figure facing hurdles or making waves. Another very familiar name in Ivorian politics is Laurent Gbagbo, yes, the former president. After years away, including time at the International Criminal Court, or ICC, where he was acquitted of war crimes charges, Ouattara had actually welcomed Gbagbo back to Ivory Coast in 2023. However, Laurent Gbagbo has also been barred from running in the 2025 presidential election. The reason given is a 2018 conviction in absentia. This conviction was for looting the Central Bank of West African States, or BCEO, during the post-election crisis. But the Gbagbo name might still be on the ballot, just not Laurent. Simone Gbagbo, the former First Lady, has thrown her hat into the ring. She will run for president as the nominee for her party, the Movement of the Capable Generations. This adds another interesting dynamic to the race. Section 8. The People's Voice. How Ivorians see Ouattara's leadership. So, what do ordinary Ivorians think about Alassane Ouattara and his long tenure as president? Well, like in any country, opinions are mixed and varied. His supporters, and there are many, will quickly point to his economic achievements and reforms. They credit him with overseeing a period of rapid economic growth and stability, especially after the turmoil of the early 2010s. They see the new roads, the infrastructure projects, and the return of international investment as clear signs of progress under his leadership. These supporters also praise him for bringing a measure of political peace, at least for a while, to a country that has seen its share of conflict. For instance, allowing former President Laurent Gbagbo to return to the country in 2023 was seen by some as a significant step towards national reconciliation and healing. On the other hand, Ouattara has plenty of critics who are vocal about their concerns. Many Ivorians are deeply concerned about what they see as his attempts to hold on to power unconstitutionally, bypassing democratic norms. The whole saga around the third term, and now the potential for a fourth, has eroded trust for some, leading to widespread skepticism. They accuse him of coercing state institutions like the judiciary to act against his political opponents, undermining the rule of law. The barring of prominent opposition candidates like Tidjane Thiam and Laurent Gbagbo is often cited as evidence of this, fueling further discontent. Section 9. What's next for Ivory Coast? Navigating a tense political climate. So, where does all this leave Ivory Coast? The nation stands at a critical crossroads with its future hanging in the balance. The nation is clearly at a sensitive juncture where every decision could have far-reaching consequences. The recent whirlwind of coup and resignation rumors, though false, exposed the raw nerves and underlying anxieties. These events have only heightened the sense of urgency and uncertainty. The political atmosphere is charged, and the upcoming October 2025 elections are casting a very long shadow. The stakes have never been higher. The country has made significant economic strides, but political stability remains a precious and sometimes elusive commodity. Economic progress alone cannot guarantee peace. The memory of past electoral violence serves as a constant, sobering reminder of what's at stake. The scars of history are still fresh. The core issues fueling the tension are multifaceted, involving deep-rooted political, social, and economic factors. There's the enduring controversy over President Ouattara's lengthy stay in power and the questions surrounding his potential fourth term. This has been a major point of contention. Then there's the disqualification of key opposition figures, which has led to accusations of an unfair electoral process and a deliberate sidelining of dissent. This has only fueled the fire. This has created a sense of frustration and disenfranchisement among supporters of the opposition who feel their voices are being silenced. Trust in the system is crucial for peaceful elections. Without it, the risk of conflict increases. Ideally, all political actors would commit to a peaceful and transparent electoral process. This would be a significant step toward stability. Dialogue between the government and the opposition would be essential to de-escalate tensions and find common ground on contentious issues. Open communication is key. The hope is that lessons from the past have been learned by all sides. Only then can Ivory Coast move forward towards a more stable and prosperous future.